Yeah, we enjoy barking.
Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another edition of Star Wars Collections and Displays. As always, I am Jack, and always we have Jim with us. Hello, Jim. Go ahead and like this video now if you like this type of long format Star Wars interview. Subscribe to the channel. We're actually gaining a lot of following right now, so help us out with that. We have another special collector with us tonight. His name is Tracy. Tracy, I'm going to send it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your collection. Where are you zooming in from?
I'm zooming in from Okima, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Welcome,
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
On the other side of the Rishi May.
Very cool. And tell us a little bit about yourself and your collection.
I don't know. I got it down with sickness, I guess, when I was about 2.5. I mean, I remember seeing the no smoking commercials with Darth Vader and C-3PO and R2-D2 back in 76, probably going into 77 when I was itty bitty. And it was right before that movie came out, and they dropped it out in 60 theaters and then re-released it later, and I went one of them. So the whole time in between there, my mama had to take me to Burger King every day and get me a Happy Meal. If I ate that sucker before I got home, she'd go back and give me another one. They'd give me 6 stickers for the sticker book. By the time the movie came out at 3 years old, I knew all the characters by name.
Wow.
Been swear ever since. 1977, my mother had to go pee, and I was watching, and the Jawas had just brought R2-D2, and I said, I'm not going.
I got to see what's going on. You go, Mom. I'm staying right here. I'm good.
Right.
So tell us, Tracy,
and I've been swear ever since.
Tell us, Tracy, what is it that you're collecting? Is it action figures, vehicles, helmets, lightsabers, comics?
Okay. The 3 3/4 inch line, all of them. One of everything, all the way back to the 70s. I'll take the 70s out package. I want the chips to be in play sets with their boxes and stuff, so to tie it in with what I've got. And then I want every ship, every creature pack, every multi-pack, every figure, one of each. No duplicates, unless they're a variant. And I don't have a lot of variants, but yeah, I guess so.
I'm just getting into variants myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a few here and there. I mean, if it's like mainstay, you know, like Ezra's helmet on and Ezra's helmet off, I generally go for that. But if it's like all the lightsabers, short and long trays, and you know, the intermediate, I mean, I've got several examples of that, but I really just want one of each. And yeah, I think you better stick to one of each.
Right. I love that 1995 short saber in a long package. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple of examples of that. I've got a Luke in his X-wing outfit where he's got the long saber, and then I've got him where he's got the short saber and a long tray. Yeah. And I got a Vader with a long saber and a Vader with just a short saber.
Okay. Beautiful.
So I got a little example of the difference, but not all of them, because I don't need 30 of them.
Of course.
And you guys you're referring to the original collection.
No.
Yeah, I'm 12 away from having all of that from the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I'm on the final 17. You know how that goes.
Yes, that's an uphill climb for sure. Right. Jim, to answer your question, we're talking about the 1995 re-release when Kenner Hasbro first started coming out. They had really long lightsabers in there. And then they went to a shorter lightsaber, but they still had some packaging with the long, so they put the shorter saber in the long packaging. And that's a good one to have.
Of pictures over.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll have to look for that with my Boba Fett collection then. Maybe there's a version there that they have?
Well, it would only be with characters with lightsabers.
Like 12 of them. Oh. When he came out in Powers of the Force, they kept changing his gloves. He has like 11 different versions.
You're talking Boba Fett now, yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, Boba Fett, he had a circle with a line in it. I mean, it was ridiculous. There was like 11
Yeah, I've seen the circle and the half circle, and I kind of thought, do you want to go down that path? You know, I think about that. Also, that prototype one where it's all different colors, and then they change the pieces and the colors. And I'm kind of skip those. I want to go down that path. I mean,
no, I kind of skip those. That's one thing. I guess it's blasphemy to skip anything for me in my body. But the ones that are solid gold and solid silver, I don't like those either.
Yeah,
I'm C3PO gold. We aren't enough gold.
I did just pick up the silver ones. I haven't seen the gold ones yet.
Yeah, they came out at the same time. It's ridiculous, and there's like, yeah, they came out at the same time.
And they came out at a conference or one of the conventions, yes?
They also had them at Walmart. I think it was an exclusive because they were there, and there were a lot of them there, but it was right at the end of the second Saga series. It kind of continued on with that, and then they went into the, the 30-year run right after that with kind of continued this,
like the 2007 series. Yeah, you're right. They came out like 2005, 2006.
Got the weird cut on the chart. Yeah.
And so you are.
And then I've just now got all of, like, in the last 2 weeks, the Revenge of the Sith stuff. I bought a guy's collection and got almost all of them, and then I went and fill it. That's how I do it. I'll buy in bulk because not very many people need all of them. So when I go to get the collection, I'll go on and I'll spend a few $100, get almost all of them, and then I'll go back and fill in the holes. Yeah. So I do it pretty quick. I mean, like, I've got pretty much 90, I'd say 5 all the way through 2006. That's right where I'm at.
Okay.
And this is all in the 3 3/4 inch series.
Huh?
It's all in the 3 3/4 inch series, yes?
Yeah, yep. And everything else that you see in, which is all through there. Now, there's other stuff. People bring it and donate it like I'm a museum. I mean, they bring me presents all the time. And when they come back, they'll be proudly displayed.
Wow.
So I put them all over the house and fit them in wherever I can.
So with all of the different items that you have collected, is there a particular series or story or movie that you really like the most?
Well, of course, Empire Strikes Back. We'll just put that as going unsaid. But then I like Revenge of the Sith. I'm really okay with all of the new stuff. I'm okay with it. I'm glad to have Star Wars, and I'm glad my grandson gets to have Star Wars, regardless of which movie is the best or not the best. I take it all as a whole, and I wish everybody would do that on these sites to where everybody could get along and find something they enjoy about it rather than tearing people apart. So I try and steer clear of groups like that and stuff. And I don't know. I'd seen one of y'all shows, and then when y'all hit me up, I went and checked it out, and I've watched pretty much all of them. So now I had to see what to expect, so I could get it in order. But I'm telling all my friends about y'all too, because I've got a lot of friends. Well, most of them are overseas and stuff. They're all over the world because they see me posting this stuff all the time, and I've told them all. So I tell them when there's a leak, I'll get them a link on it, and send it to them, and I'll see if I can bring someone with me.
Great. So collectively, how many pieces do you think you have?
I would say 3,000 or 4,000.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Pictures don't do it any justice. I mean,
I've
got every carded orange figure. I've got every carded green figure. I've got every freeze frame figure. I've got even Weequay. I mean, I've got all of them. And then I've got all of the Phantom Menace. I've got all of the Powers of the Jedi. I've got all the episode 2 in the first Saga series. I've got the Clone Wars, the second Saga series, all the trilogies. I'm on the second Saga series right now.
Right. And you just got the 2005 Revenge of the Sith. Those are the ones that are in kind of that weird egg shape.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Darth Vader shape.
A while ago, and check it out. You can, since you got time, you can add it in there because it shows it's the entire wall is splashed with it. Okay. Behind Darth Vader and the Emperor and Boba Fett.
We'll throw that in for sure. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I love how you have everything displayed.
Darth Vader heads all the way from floor to ceiling, all the way across.
Right.
And then spinach collection on this side and trilogy on this side. The closet's turned into a ship dispensary.
It's beautiful. No, I really like how everything's displayed. It's basically just like a Star Wars wallpaper, but of action figures. Yeah. Not everybody can do that, but obviously in your case you can. So that's fantastic that you did.
What you do is I'm a single man. It's been, I decided this is much better for me than right now. Either way, like I have to start on one figure, and then I zoom back, and then I start to turn, and then everybody knows what they're looking at, because otherwise it looks like what's behind you.
I see.
You see what I mean? It looks like a poster. They think it is wallpaper. It doesn't even register in their mind that that's toys because there's no space.
That's the way I looked at it, like a wallpaper, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me ask you this, Tracy. Why Star Wars? What was it about Star Wars that made you say, this is what I want to wallpaper the house with?
I think I was born for it. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done it since I was 2.5 years old. My kids are grown, and I kind of do my own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been married twice, and well, that didn't work out so well. And I almost did it again. And, I almost lost a best friend out of it. And you know what? This is just peacefuler. I mean, I just sit around and I'm my furry buddies.
It could have been Star Trek, yeah? Could you have latched on to Star Trek?
Nah, it's all right. But I like the new ones. I like them.
But Star Wars is what you said. I want
to
to deep dive on this one.
Yeah. There's nothing Star Wars I haven't seen a multitude of times.
So your motivation for collecting this, is it an investment? Is it looks? Is it enjoyment? Is it bring memories back?
That's kind of a catch-22 because it's my kids' inheritance, but it is my single focus enjoyment. And for a year, maybe 2 years after I'm gone, I'll still be with them. They'll still be cussing me because I have to. I told them some buddies that can sign this stuff for them, or something. They keep paying them a little commission. But I've got some buddies they can look up, but they're just as old as I am. I've got another 50 years in me, though. I've got to make it the rest of the way. I've come too far to stop now.
Out of all the things that I've seen in your collection, the thing that I've not seen or wasn't obvious to me was graded figures. Do you have anything like that?
No, I'm trying to get one of all of them in every package. It's just not. I'm pouring out a lot of money right now. Like it's embarrassing. I pour out a lot of money because I don't have any bills. I mean, I've got a salary, and I'm the maintenance man at the apartment complex, and I've got my rent and my water and stuff paid. So well, I invest that money.
Yep, that's great.
I'm about $300 every other week on this stuff.
Every other week?
Yeah.
I need to step away from your computer. That's an afternoon on a Saturday for me.
Yeah. It's been going on a while though. Yeah, I go on and like I say, I'll buy in bulk at first, and I'll go on and if you type it, everybody has one figure they need. The only way to sell these is one at a time. If you take a whole group of them, one of two things is going to happen. A retailer is going to buy that from you at a third of what you want for it, or you're going to have 2 or 3 buyers that might need all them figures that don't want duplicates. You don't need 15 bit Fortunas. See what I mean? So you go on there and you type in figure lots and look at the entire lot of each independent, series that you're going for. And then you'll put a bid on it, and if nobody else bids on it, you can get it. Just put
for the whole lot
in there cheap and hold your guns. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you won't. And that's how you pick which series you're doing and when you're doing it.
Yeah, what lot comes up. And then what about why do you keep them boxed? Don't you prefer them kind of loose, or do you prefer them in the box?
The ones from the 70s and 80s that I had when I was a kid, those are not the ones I had when I was a kid. I'm on my 4th collection. Like I said, I've been married twice. Anyway, that's a long story short. But this time I ain't no looking back. I've come too far, right? Like I moved here to be near my kids 3.5 years ago. It was one room. This had happened in 3.5 years. My house just kind of puked Star Wars.
Yeah. I was just telling Jack earlier tonight, the Boba Fett collection is probably going to end up in the dining room now.
There's always room for one more.
I'm curious to see how this interview ends up going, because what I see you is what I fear that I see I'm going to.
It's great, man.
Jim, I even think that you have hair behind that you can put up that kind of looks like Tracy's hair. Look at that. I mean, he's already turning into you.
Yeah, right.
Where's my hat? Where's my hat?
Yeah, you need one. Like Crocodile Dundee one.
Well, that'll be exciting to see Jim's house.
You have been collecting your whole life, or at least since you were 2 years old. So that's what, a span of about 50 years?
That's exactly how old I am. Yep. Yep. So 48, yeah, 48, literally. I have memories. I had a weird childhood growing up. Well, not weird. My mother was disabled, and they started telling her she was going to die by the time I was 7. She didn't. She made it till I was 18. She suffered a long time from me. Either way, that's another story. But like, yeah, I've been this way like ever since I can remember, and that's been when I was eating baby food. I have memories of seeing C3PO and Darth Vader and R2D2 on my TV with a non-smoking commercial, and then seeing the Star Wars trailer afterward and not understanding it too well, but having to have more of it when I was in a diaper.
When did you actually see the movie for the first time?
When they re-released.
About a year later,
yeah.
like in 78?
About 6 months, 7 months, yeah, something
right.
like that. I don't remember exactly. I was really little, but it was several months later. Because they dropped it in 60 theaters. They didn't think they was going to succeed. They did not know what to expect. Even George Lucas and them didn't. And it was a phenomenon. So they re-released the opening date to the entirety of it instead of just limiting it to them opening theaters. But the story had already grown. The popularity had grown, and it had become a phenomenon. That's why they didn't have enough action figures made. They had to do the early birds and all of that stuff. Is because they thought they had more time because they released it off that one. That was going to be it. And then they dropped that second release. And when they did that, the whole world had to have it.
And what do you remember specifically about that day when you first saw Star Wars? Tell me your memories.
My mother having to go pee. Right. She always had to go pee when we went to the theater, and I had to go with her. I was 3. There wasn't nobody else. So when she had to pee in that Jawa, it just fried out R2D2 with his little, shot his little lightning all over him like the Emperor would. Yeah. Yep, you got it. My mom had to go pee, and I was like, I'm not going. And I didn't. I was like, they just shot my favorite guy. No.
Right. You're sitting right there.
So at 3 years old, I stayed and watched it by myself. So she go pee. That was the first time. It's a big deal.
Yeah. That's an amazing memory. Star Wars is what it almost like made you a man at that point. Or, I won't say a man. It made you from like an infant to a boy. At that point, you became a boy.
Right.
Yeah. That's cool.
And that's when I wanted the action figures, and they didn't have them yet. Yeah. They didn't have them. So I was on wait. I didn't get the early bird ones. I was little. I didn't know about the early bird ones. But like my buddy across the street, he started getting them, and I was like, oh, man, you got to trade me something. I was old enough to understand that. And we were playing, and his mama wouldn't let him give them to me. He was going to give me a couple. He went to get them. I was like, hey, you can't do that. Anyway, he came back. He had Mork from Mork and Mindy. He had a Mork action figure and brought me Princess Leia and said, that's Mindy. So he didn't tell me that was Princess Leia.
Sure.
I thought it was Mork and Mindy, and I had Mindy before I had the other 3. But when they first released, my mom bought me Chewbacca, R2D2, and C3PO because they didn't have a Darth Vader for the commercial. The non-smoking commercial. That's the 3 I wanted. But I got Chewbacca instead. And I went home, and my former stepdad called it a jukebox. R2D2.
Jukebox. That's funny. Right. A jukebox. So you were with your mom when you picked up those figures, those first figures that you bought. You said, I want this one, I want this one, this one. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you remember that.
They were out of Darth Vader.
They were out of Darth Vader. Yeah. I can remember the first time I first saw a wall of Star Wars figures. I was probably around 4.5 years old.
Yeah.
And we went to a Sears. And I don't know if my mom and dad knew that there was figures or what, but they kind of led me there. And I remember kind of going around, and there was like the end cap had a bunch of Star Wars figures. And I was like, oh my goodness, like Star Wars everything. And then when we went down the aisle, the whole wall was just Star Wars. It was amazing. Right. Yeah.
Like Toys R Us. We would hit the mall, and when we go to the mall, Toys R Us was right across the street. It was a big thing back then. And with Jeffrey the Giraffe and everything.
Yeah.
But like when you walked in, the very 2 center aisles was 36 feet of Star Wars, 16 feet tall, as far as the eye could see for a kid. That's when I do this.
Yeah. You can have that same kind of memory.
20, 30 years from now, everybody's going to have those open and stuff and trade it off. And eventually they're going to wear down and stuff like that. And this is just preserving what it's like to look at a wall of figures as far as I can see, like when I was a kid, and what the entire lines look like. Okay. And it's just preserving the history. I encourage everybody to open them, enjoy them. I did that when I was a kid. I still got my loose ones from my originals. Those are not my originals, but I keep them because I had them loose. I'm all right with them being loose, and it's cheaper. And right, I've got to go find some weapons I'm missing. But,
sure.
But so, either way, but these, there at the very end, I remember I went and bought like 11 figures when they all went on clearance for $1 a piece at Return of the Jedi, right when Powers of the Force came out. And they went to clearance and they put them at $1 a piece. That was cheap back then, cheaper now. But,
right.
And I accidentally bought 2 of the Admiral Akbars, and I saved him for a year. For whatever reason, I thought I had to have another Mon Calamari, and I opened it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's only $100 now, 120. It ain't nothing big, but that's 100 times more than what I paid for it. And I think to myself, yeah, I'll do that. And then it turned into that and that.
Well, and speaking of that, so you are in what, a 2-3 bedroom apartment?
It's 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, and how many 2 bathrooms, and 2 kitchens.
How many of those rooms have Star Wars items in them?
There is not a room that's not floor to wall. It's floor to ceiling all the way. I'm in the biggest game of I guess Dr. Mario, Tetris, any of those where you're dropping the blocks. And every time I have one figure left and I put it in, it shuffle bumps all of them.
Wow.
So you got to move them all the other end and stuff, because I'm series by series by series by series all the way around. So when I go back and make up one, I've learned to take them and move them to the other end. But
create that space.
You literally got to move the whole wall to make it.
So I've seen the collection that is behind you in that particular room. You also have a kitchen that is completely full of Star Wars. There's also a bathroom
and both bathrooms
full of Star Wars.
Right.
Saw again in the rooms, they're all.
And this is my living room.
I saw in the rooms they're all.
They're all
in the kitchen.
One even has a divider. One has a divider so I can put more figures on the back.
In the kitchen, there's a shelf going up the top, and there's collectibles up there as well.
Funko Pops. I put the shelf up just for them. Yeah, that's my Funko Pops that people have brought me.
Okay.
There's a couple of them up there.
Anything that is not Star Wars in your house?
A couple of washcloths. I got Star Wars washcloths too. Here's how I shop. I go buy groceries and I get on eBay. If I need a shower curtain, I get on eBay. If I need, a cup for my bathroom, I get on eBay. If I need coffee cups, I get on eBay. It's just much easier. And you type in Star Wars before what you need, and it's there. It's just that easy. There's crock pots, there's toasters, there's everything you can think of. It's there. Shower curtains.
How is it that you are displaying your items? Again, I saw some that were up on the wall. Are they pinned in there?
Yeah, I don't really collect Star Wars. I collect thumbtacks. Star Wars stuff's to decorate my thumbtacks.
The shelf.
I have over 4,000 thumbtacks on my wall.
The shelves
I come with a disclosure.
The shelves in the kitchen, I think those were set there, kind of sitting on their own.
The ones in the kitchen that go above the cabinets, that's actually floor planks that match the flooring in the house. And I've taken scrap pieces of them and screwed them up underneath where there's a little recess part. So it sits on there, it makes a shelf, and they're butted up at an angle against it. Can y'all do this? Can you see them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I see that.
I got you on a turntable, by the way. I can turn my whole living room.
Okay. Well, when you take some video of your different things to put in that fourth window, definitely shoot some of that, and Jim can put it there. So yeah, we'll see it. Right. When I go into Jim's room, he has a Star Wars room. I almost feel like there's an energy with all those action figures and Star Wars figures looking and feeling at me. Do you feel any energy or anything like that when you step into the house, step into a room?
Yeah, the power. People will be coming over to watch TV. We'll be up there watching TV, and I'll make dinner or whatever in my Darth Vader apron, Yeah, I got one of them too. And a little spatula deal. But either way, but they'll come over and we'll be sitting there watching TV. And next thing you know, I'm up walking around. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, you know what this does when you walk in here?" And they're like, "Yeah, so it does it to me too." I don't know how I got all this. There's nothing better than getting showed off, you know. And I don't mean show it off as in a flaunting way. I like to do it when they don't expect it, because there's nothing better than seeing
That's the reaction you get
every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And no matter how many pictures I can send, no matter how much video I can send, it never can tell the story. It can't, because it swallows you.
That's the energy.
All the way down the halls, all around the kitchen, every bedroom, some with dividers, to where I can have extra.
Yeah, I love it.
And
I absolutely love it.
I moved to the 3-bedroom so I can have a room for my grandson, because he's got a Star Wars collection. He needs a place to put it. So posters are all temporary. They will eventually fill all holes, because I don't like holes in it. And then as time has gone by, they've ended up back there for him, because as my figures filled in, the posters had to move. So they bump back, bump back, bump back. And I just moved from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. So this is not all put together yet. I'm fixing a 3D print C3PO. I'm gonna buy 3 3D printers, and I'm gonna kick off and start printing droid parts, because these are not 3D printed. I built them out of whatever. Like, so, I mean, you know, I sit and I draw it and draw it and drew it. And, you know, I've had a lot of drafting experience, and I build houses and stuff like that. And I turned that into art, because I've always been into art. I mean, I won my first art contest when I was in 3rd grade, just drawing, because it had, you know, layers and you could tell depth in it. And I've just been doing this ever since. The world's my Lego blocks. There's nothing I can't have.
I want to take a few steps backwards here for a moment, back to the various, how you're displaying this stuff. Again, pinned up on the wall, up on shelves. There is a rack of sorts, I think, to the side of you that has a bunch of vehicles in it and such, play sets and things like that.
Those are closets.
Okay.
The closets had opening doors like this. I took the doors off and put lighting in it and put shelves inside of it, and then filled it up with ships.
Brings me to my next question. Are you illuminating in a particular way these various displays?
The closets. When I come in, and I do this everywhere I go, because I don't know if you ever had to clean the top of a ceiling fan, but that soot really builds up. It's nasty some places, you know, and Oklahoma's one of them dusty places.
I didn't hear what you said. What?
Ceiling fans?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it builds up the soot and the dirt on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, every time you turn them on and off, where does it go? It distributes on top of all these bubbles. I take the ceiling fans out and put these on.
I can already hear it. That word starts with a D.
Yeah. Dust. Yeah. That's a 4-letter dirty word. Yeah. And then these got night mode. You can go to dark.
I bought one, but I have yet to use it.
I bought one. It's on top of his head.
How are your displays arranged? By series, by packaging? Is there by a particular movie or a series?
Well, as of right now, I try and keep their ships with them, but they're in the closets. They're fixing to belch out and go all around the bottom too. I mean, I'm fixing to have to get some big stuff, a lot of it, and it's gonna be fun, I guess. But yeah, I keep the figures in each series to where you can see the whole layout from each line, with all the deluxe figures and everything that's got thumbtackable. You know, like in episode 2, they had the speeders for you know, when Anakin was chasing the shapeshifter down through there, and when they crashed, remember? And Obi-Wan gets out, and then they go in and he goes to get a drink, right? Well, those 2 speeders, they can hang up on peg hooks. So those are up there with tacks, and then extra tacks underneath them to support the weight. And I'll put them on the wall and display them with the figures, because it gives me more, you know, room for shelves down at the bottom, and I have more space for all the other stuff. They don't have peg hooks.
Right.
So that stuff all gets moved around, but ultimately the figures, I mean, they're pretty much, if you really look at the video, you'll see it. It's side by side. The blue ones go there. There's the blue one with the tan stripes. There's the tan ones. There's the cartoon animated series Clone Wars.
Right.
There's all the Force Awakens. This is all of the retro series, minus the 6 that just came out. The vintage series is in that room in there, and then it goes to episode 3. And that takes that whole wall. And then there's the original trilogy collection. And it goes into the second saga series. They had to quit the first saga series because they didn't have a saga. They hadn't made episode 3 yet.
I see. So it wasn't quite called sagas yet. Yeah.
And then they made the original trilogy collection. It went to the Clone Wars ones. And then they released the episode 3 figures for Revenge of the Sith. And then they re-released the saga collection, continuing in the package, but with double striping for the original trilogy collection. That's why they look so close together, because they kind of bled into each other. And then it went to them gold and silver ones, then into the legacy, and to where we are with the vintage collection, which they stopped making, I think, in 2011. And then Disney re-released it after several attempts for the movies and making small lines of figures. They went into the vintage collection for the mainstay of all of the series to make them, have that vintage feel with the packing. And then they came out with the retro collection, which was a big success, in my opinion. And I like what they're doing with that. Really, it was their way of going back to making a cheaper figure, because the figures got 17, 18 bucks, there for a while. Not many kids can get that, but 10, 11 is still, manageable. And so I think that's really why they redropped that series, so they could have a lesser priced figure that was more economical to keep them going. And then they still make the ones, for us guys that are a little more picky.
Sure.
But I gotta have them all.
I enjoyed the retro collection figures, especially the ones that were never released from 77 through 85, like the Mon Mothma, the Tarkin, the Luke Skywalker in X-Wing, or in a Snowspeeder outfit. Very cool. But now, obviously,
War the Bartender, and he's come out now. They've Han Solo in Stormtrooper outfit.
Right.
He's in the new series.
That's correct.
That's the 6 I don't have yet.
Okay.
But
mine are on order. They haven't come yet from Target myself. So.
Yeah.
Previously, you said you were in a 2-bedroom apartment. You've now moved to a 3-bedroom apartment. Yep. Do you still have room to add more collectibles?
There's always room for one more.
I think that's what I'm going to title this interview. There's always room for one more.
That works.
Yeah.
By the way,
look at that. Welcome to the show. Salacious.
Yeah, it's one of the co-hosts there.
That's great.
So tell us about the obvious. What's behind you?
Oh, my name is Ewoks.
And did you make those Ewoks, or what did you say? You made the display?
No, this is the Ewok Village. Yeah, I built the display. I built the Ewoks. I made them.
Really?
Yeah. That's in my 3rd run on them. The first 2 runs looked more like stuffed animals, and I took more of a taxidermy approach, but I made every piece of them. Their eyes, their teeth, their fingernails, those are all ping pong balls.
How long ago did you make those?
And I've been making them since the pandemic. I started building them in the pandemic. I started out building droids. One of my employees, which is a former employee now, I lost my company when the pandemic hit. But that's all right. I'm doing good now. But either way, I couldn't go buy anything, man. Much less could you find a figure at the store anyway. If you could go in the store. And it just got pretty depressing there. And he had made out of a trash can, he brought me an R2D2 that he made. And it was for my birthday, which was by Halloween. And I'm sure he meant it to be a candy bucket. It had a handle on it. You pull like an ice chest and everything. There's a little trash can. And it's still today. If you look at the little half bathroom in the material, it's down at the bottom. I still have that today. And so I was like, I'm going to build one. So I built a pit droid. And then I built my battle droid, which I don't have anymore. He's gone now. All my droids are fixing to be 3D printed. So for R2 here, R2, he was all together. I've taken him back apart because I'm wiring him. And he's going to be radio control and everything. and I'm getting all that run. He's got the head motor in. I've got the motors. I'm putting them in his feet. I'm having to rework his feet because this is not made out of plastic. Yeah, I guess that part is. That's flat shower board, and there's 2 layers of it. Those arms are going to open. I've got to hook the CAN motors up in there. But either way, and his head will turn. All the LEDs are independent in it, and I have a stud that comes down, so he's got full 360 turn on it. I've taught myself to build it. I've been building it for about 6 years, and he's changed so many times. Like the first multiple times, the dome was kind of flatter on top because these are a grill dome. This is the Smoky Mountain griller though, and from Weber, and the top and the bottom are a perfect dome for it, and the right width. They come to 18.3 to the outside. If you cut the lip off, and you can't get any closer than that. So I bought
it's like made for that. Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's all drawn on there. And this is, you see the dark spots. That's where I brought it out to where it's supposed to be because I'm fixing to re-stencil it and repaint it. And then I'm going to put a really thick poly coat over it. And when that hardens up and is almost there, I'm going to go back and etch it and make it all look openable.
Do you sell any of your creations, Tracy?
That's what I set out to do when pandemic hit, but yeah, I got attached to them. I have sold a few, and I've got a battle droid and a pit droid out there. They're fully articulated. That battle droid, every finger, his hands, wrists, elbows, but he's made out of wood, and he just isn't smooth, and he isn't got that factory look like a car does. You know, all Ford Tauruses look the same. Yeah. Same with these bodies for these astromechs and stuff.
Right.
It's gonna look uniform, and I wasn't gonna build just one. It just doesn't work that way.
What about the Stormtrooper helmet behind you? What's the story behind that one? Not the biker scout, but the actual Stormtrooper.
Yeah, the Stormtrooper helmet is not Black Series. My Darth Vader is, and Kylo Ren's helmet is, but Boba Fett and that one I had 3D printed overseas. Got me some knockoffs because I had Jabba's palace in my last house. And I had built a 4-piece sectional, and Jabba was life size behind me on the couch.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask. Is you've also got Jabba the Hutt's
spoiler alert. that was the last house. A lot of the stuff I leave behind, I believe it or not. But it, it's built with the intent of selling. But I moved, and there was no moving. So I changed to Yorks when I moved here, and I tried to build them a couple of times, but they didn't look like that.
Low Gray and Chief Chirper right there almost look life size.
They are. Wow. But I get their height and girth and everything off of a line. You can Google it and go to Wikipedia, and every one of their height and weight's on there. And if you don't, then you just Google the actor and then you look up how tall they are, and you go from there.
Easily done.
You get that, and then you just get pictures, and you get as many pictures from all the way around as you can, and you just try and copy it.
Jack has a friend that acted in one of those Ewok movies, if I recall right.
Jawa.
Oh,
Jawa. Boutini. Yeah.
Boutini.
Those are my favorite, actually. I love Jawas. Every time I built one, though, it's just not quite been right. There's one in there. There's a picture. That was a long story. You got your head knocked off. Yeah, it was an accident. but he was never the same after that. And I tried to make them with tomato cages and the inside so they'd be really light because I wanted to put them on a Roomba and just kind of set them loose. But I never could get it stable enough. So,
Tracy, I want to go back to the questions here for a second. I know that you mentioned that you buy a lot of stuff on eBay. Is there any other place that you go to buy Star Wars figures?
If there's one at Walmart that's just released and they got that one case that they order now, then I'll pick it up. There's nowhere. I mean, I could go into toy stores if I was up in a place that had them. I'm in a little town that don't have a Walmart. I'm from a city, but I moved to a small town to be by my kids, and we got a Dollar General with a gas station. Either way.
Yeah. So you're doing online.
I'm not exaggerating, huh?
You're doing everything online.
Yeah.
Do you ever find anything on Facebook? Do you go to any of the Facebook groups?
Actually, all the Revenge of the Sith figures. There was somebody on there that had 80-something figures with no duplicates. Now, not all of them were Revenge of the Sith. I only had 16 of them because I hadn't started it yet, really. They just kind of spilled over. So I did the math in my head, and I asked them how many duplicates there were. There were only 4 duplicating figures in their entire set that they brought. And when they come, there was a lot more than they said they were in their boxes.
Oh, really?
His brother got deported and had to go back to Mexico, and it was his collection. So he sold it to send him the money. And he sold it on there. He told me that when he was here. So,
but there was more than 4 duplicates.
Yeah, it was only 4 duplicates in it. So, bam, all of a sudden I've got, 2/3 of the entire Revenge of the Sith line. So nice. I'm on there filling in all the holes and getting what I can at a reasonable price. And then I'll go back if there's a couple expensive ones to get them at the end. So I got another Millennium Falcon to get. I haven't hit the Legacy series yet. I'm ashamed to say. I don't have it.
Right.
But I do have the Princess Leia in her slave outfit from 2011, the Vintage Collection, the really valuable one, the last one before they retired it. Yeah. But I've got it in the Revenge of the Sith variant package instead of
beautiful. I think that's the better one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Anyways.
When it comes to collecting, do you consider yourself under control, out of control, obsessive, compulsive? Is there a budget? What do you say?
I'm in a world of my own.
That's comfortable.
yeah. That's all I gotta say. I mean, if I get a good enough deal on it, I'll jump on it. I make sure my bills are paid, and I buy my rations for a couple of weeks just in case, I get carried away. And I get carried away. I've never been good at saving money, guys. I can save the hell out of these.
Right.
Join the crowd. Who, aside from yourself and your grandson, who sees your collection?
A lot of people. I post updates and reels with music going through my house every few days and send it out to 30, 40 groups.
Okay. So aside from online, in person?
Probably, I would say probably anywhere from 6 to 12 people a week.
Oh, really?
I've had people come from other states. Like I said, all this other stuff that isn't 3 3/4 inch is donated. I've had somebody come from Kansas and donate
coming from other states to give you
a land speeder. That land speeder back there, it's drivable. Yeah,
I saw that. I was going to ask, did you make that?
Radio flyer. It recharges like the Jeeps and stuff for kids, like a Power Wheels. Which, by the way, you can also take the wiring out and make R2D2 work. By the way, that's what's happening over here. Yeah, but there you can get all the stuff on YouTube for it. It shows how to do it. But either way, and then you gotta upgrade. But that thing recharges and everything. And they had come in. I was fixing to move, and I'd put all my just regular Legos in buckets on there and sold them. And I was having a yard sale. It was what was left over. And they drove all the way down from Kansas to buy the Legos to go on their collection, telling me about their collection. And then they brought that land speeder and donated it. They surprised me with it. I didn't see nothing.
So, who is your favorite character?
Darth Vader.
Of which I did see you have a 7-foot Darth Vader, and then right next to him was the Emperor, yes?
Yeah. Well, actually, he's 6'8". Darth Vader's 6'8". They extended his legs a little bit.
Is he from Home Depot?
No, he is my scratch build. I built that to display as a display stand for my Black Series helmet. When I bought the helmet, awesome. I built the mannequin and all, and built the entire outfit around it. And
you built the Emperor as well, then?
Yeah. The mask is the little Black Series. Came out with like Bosk and them and the Emperor, and then I took in and built him. He's up out of a trash can. He's got a styrofoam up here, and his arms are posable, but and his hands, if you notice, the fingertips are hollow. I'm gonna get some of that blue tubing that's like LED, and I'm gonna make some lightning crackle. I'm gonna put it on a motion sensor and you go by and make him cackle. That's kind of my idea. So that's why his fingertips are hollow there. But he's still a work in progress. And the Boba Fett, it's still a scratch built. There's no 3D printer involved. That's a bunch of shower board like you put on the back of a shower wrap, and however many layers if it's 3-dimensional. Like R2's got 2 layers, and all of his doors and compartments are cut out and glued on it flat. And then he's got plywood with framed up like almost like a structure like a house would be. And then that shower board wraps around it, and it has an opening in the back, and then you can do all your electronics in it. And that head's it's a grill with a piece of plywood that goes up underneath it, and that center motor comes up and rotates it, and it'll go either way.
Awesome.
The 3D print ones are better. I mean, this is history. I have a plan for it though.
Right, you're going to get the 3D printers, but yeah, this is pretty cool stuff that you're building already. Very impressive.
I have two final questions for you. One, we've just kind of recently added this question. We've not really refined how to ask it, so I'm just going to ask it in the ugly way, and that is, the day comes that you pass away, what happens to your collection?
My kids still have me involved in their life for a couple of years more.
So
the whole time they're juggling this around,
let me ask the hard question. Let me ask the hard question.
Yeah.
Do they know that they're going to get those?
Yeah.
Do they want them?
My son is interested. My daughter's interested in the money. If they want to have a grandson that loves it, his first word was Grogu.
Wow. Grogu. First words.
Yeah. Yeah. His name's Levi. I call him Chewy. I got a picture of him. I sent you. He's in that land speeder up there. He looks like.
Does the mom get upset that you call him Chewy?
No, she doesn't show that like that. Yeah, she doesn't like Star Wars much. I mean, I don't know. She got married and moved off when I moved here, so that was kind of cool. I mean, we don't have to get on each other's nerves that much. It's all right. We did it for the kids, and she raised my kids so good. I have no complaints, and now I'm getting to be around them, and it's pretty good. And when my son, when he was young, he didn't really take Star Wars too much. But, that was an inside thing. Now he's around. He likes it. And he's, been watching some of the new series with me. And he asks questions. He asks me what you get and all that kind of stuff so you can see it. And, because they're grown. And, she's fixing to be at LPN. She's going through nursing school. And he just finished. So, and they work full time. My daughter has a son now. And she's a single mama. But, and it's great. So that's why I upgraded apartments, by the way. I just wanted him to have a room to go play in and
be able to come
a whole hall and living room. And I have gates and barriers. It's like a museum. Sure. They pull out and everything. They look like wrought iron, but they're plastic. As zoo look in here. This is actually the living room.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah, it's just a really long living room.
I love the decoration in your home. Absolutely. It's, as we said, it's like a wallpaper. I saw the videos. After every corner that you kind of panned around in this corner, that I was just blown away at everything. It's how I would personally want to do stuff, but I can't. I have a girlfriend. I have, she would hate that.
I'll have a life again.
It's not about that. I think again we talked about that energy, and it's what you enjoy. 2 years old, you were exposed to Star Wars. You still have those memories. It's what you want. I think it's beautiful.
It's very therapeutic to me. But my kids, I do have names for them to contact of people that know how to sell this stuff for them and would be glad to do it for commission and stuff.
Well, and I don't even think that the question is, what are you going to do with it when you pass away? I think the question's more is, where do you see the collection in 10 years from now, 15 years from now? Is it going to expand? Is it going to be divided up? Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've upgraded houses before. I have to have more space, There's always storage building out back.
And in Oklahoma, I feel that you need a basement in Oklahoma. So you need to find a place with a basement.
Yeah, I'm upstairs. I'm in apartments. I don't have a basement.
Yeah, you get one of those tornadoes coming through.
Basement going, no, this is I'm wallpapered from one end of this place to the other.
Do it.
And when there's posters where they're not.
As a lifelong collector, what advice would you pass along to other collectors or potential new collectors?
Just enjoy it, embrace it, and do it, to the degree that you're content with. Some people are happy with a few loose figures, and to them that's a lot, because they have their lives and stuff. But some people, that gotta have one of all of them, and don't have such a good excuse, maybe, and just happen to have the means, which has never been that way and never lasts forever, But while I have the opportunity, I'm going to do the best I can to get them all, because, well, it just brings me to that happy place. And that happy place is a very long time ago in a galaxy not so far away. But yeah, I mean, look.
Which reminds me, there was another question I wanted to ask.
You don't even have to like Star Wars to like this.
In your hallway, you have what I believe is referred to as the crawl.
Yeah, all three of them.
Yeah, so there's three as you go down the hallway.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and a Death Star on the end. Those are my rugs. Yeah. I'm
Very
fixing
cool.
a big Falcon or a Star Destroyer for the living room inside. Yeah, yeah. I've got the original three movies opening crawls going down my hall in order.
Well, Tracy, it's been fabulous talking with you. Seeing
y'all's awesome, man.
I had told Josh or Jack earlier that I wanted to. I was very curious as to how this was going to go, and I confided in him. I says because his walls are completely covered, and that's kind of the direction I find myself going. So I have to kind of see how he is and how he's done it. And either know what I'm anticipating I'm going to do or turn around and run from it. One of the two.
Right.
Well, again, thank you very much.
Yeah, this has been absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed meeting you, Tracy. Thank you so much for sharing your collection with us. I do appreciate it. I'll remind everyone out there on YouTube, if you've made it this far in the video, obviously there's something that you like about this. So go ahead and give us that like. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Tracy, I always like to end these by saying, may the force be with you.
Right. And yub. Probably hear some wind in the back. The thunder. In Oklahoma, chance of tornadoes. And what else are we going to do, right? So, saying exactly Camino, but you're going to dig this. Go check out. Sure. Collection. My name is Tracy Oxley. I scratch bill lap size. Collect a little. Hope you enjoy. ATC. Come on. Well done. It's gonna get bumpy.
Giving us any more trouble.